They say that Yellowstone is only sleeping, but Father Oliveira once saw something that shook his soul. In his vision, it did not look like a place resting quietly. It looked alive, as if it was breathing in silence, pulling in air slowly, holding it deep inside like something waiting for the right moment to move. What he saw next was even more frightening. Without any sign or warning, the ground opened and the great mountain exploded with a power that could not be stopped. Fire and smoke filled the sky, and in just a moment, 4 whole states of the United States disappeared under a dark roof of ash. The sun could not be seen, the air turned heavy, and the world itself seemed to change in one breath of fire. It was not a scientific report, and not a mere guess of human knowledge. It was a message that heaven allowed a man of God to see, a man who carried no wish for fame and no hunger for people to believe him. What he carried was only the weight of truth that burned in his heart, the burden that he had to tell others what had been shown. And so his vision leaves us with a question that troubles the heart. If such a day comes, if Yellowstone does rise and burst without even the slightest sign to prepare, will the world be ready to face it, or will most people be lost in confusion, unable to understand what is happening before their eyes? If this story has touched your heart, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Do you believe visions like this are warnings we should pay attention to? What do you think would happen if such a disaster struck suddenly? And how should people prepare their lives, not only physically but also spiritually? Your comments and support mean a lot, because they help us keep sharing stories that matter and open our eyes to the signs around us. Father Oliveira had always been a quiet man, the kind of priest who lived most of his life away from noise and attention. He spent his days in prayer, fasting, and waiting in silence, because he knew that in silence the voice of God often speaks in ways the world cannot hear. He was not the type of man who wanted people to look at him, nor did he search for fame or praise. Many people who passed by him hardly noticed his presence until the day came when he began to share a vision that shook the hearts of those who heard it. Some were deeply moved, others laughed in disbelief, but the words he carried came not from his imagination. They came from something far greater than himself. The message did not arrive with a crowd, with noise, or with signs in the sky. It came in the stillness of dawn, in the quiet hour when the first pale light spreads and souls are most open to truth. In that silence, he fell to his knees not because he chose to kneel, but because something far beyond him pressed him down. He was shown a terrible vision, one that revealed the sleeping giant beneath Yellowstone waking with a violent rage not seen in thousands of years. The vision did not come all at once. It unfolded slowly, like heaven was allowing him to take it piece by piece so his human mind would not be crushed by its weight. He saw beneath the surface of Yellowstone, where no human eyes could see, where something ancient and powerful had begun to stir. The boiling deep within the earth had already started, though life above the ground went on as normal. Tourists took pictures of geysers, families set up campfires, and rangers walked the trails. No one could see what was happening under their feet. There were no alarms, no sirens, no clear warnings. But in the small signs of creation, something strange was already happening. The wind carried whispers through the trees. Animals began to move in odd ways, leaving places they once roamed freely. Yet the world did not notice. It laughed, it played, it built, and it carried on with daily life. And then the vision showed what would happen next. 4 states of the United States would vanish beneath a gray and choking sea of ash. Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and parts of Colorado would be buried under skies that first turned orange, then black. The air itself would become poison. He saw cars that could not start, highways filled with ash, planes that could not rise into the air, and families trapped on rooftops crying out as the sky itself seemed to collapse. This was not the kind of fire people knew from forest blazes, nor was it the kind of storm that passed with thunder and rain. It was something far more dreadful, something that looked like judgment. The ash fell not in bursts but like snow that did not melt, covering fields, homes, crosses, and roads. Rivers turned black, birds fell lifeless from the sky, and cities that once were alive with sound and light became nothing more than silent, gray shadows. The silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, pressing, like a weight on the soul. Yet, in the middle of that terrible scene, Father Oliveira saw something unexpected. Among the destruction stood a few homes that remained untouched. These homes had been marked by prayer. They belonged to families who had sprinkled holy water on their walls, who prayed the rosary together, who fasted in secret, and who kept God's name on their lips. These homes had crosses above their doors, and their windows were covered with blessed cloth. The ash did not enter. The darkness moved past them, unable to rest inside. The people inside those homes were not without fear, but their fear was different. They had peace, the kind that does not come from survival but from faith. Father Oliveira was not a man to exaggerate or invent stories. After receiving this vision, however, he knew he could not keep silent. He began to move from place to place, speaking softly to anyone who would listen. He did not shout. He did not claim to know the date or the hour. He only told what he had seen and reminded people that the earth does not move according to human will. Some priests listened with worry and asked questions. Others dismissed him kindly, thinking perhaps old age had made him imagine too much. As always, people were divided. Some mocked him, calling him strange or foolish. Others wept, knelt, and began to change their lives. And far away from Yellowstone, in towns and cities across the country, strange signs quietly began to show. Birds flew in the wrong direction. Animals no longer entered forests near Yellowstone. The ground trembled, not like an earthquake, but like a long, heavy exhale coming from deep within the earth. Still, daily life continued as if nothing was happening. Only those who had listened truly began to prepare. They did not build bunkers or collect weapons. They prepared their souls. They went to confession, they fasted, they prayed in silence, and they taught their children the rosary. The priest said the day would come like a thief in the night. There would be no trumpet sound, no alarm to warn people. It would happen while someone cooked dinner, while another sat at a table watching television, while another scrolled through a phone. A deep crack would come from beneath the earth, a sound that no one could escape, and then Yellowstone would rise. In one final breath, ash would cover the sky like a curtain pulled across the sun. Day would turn into night. The proud would tremble and fall, while the humble would lift their faces toward heaven, filled with light in the middle of darkness. Father Oliveira said this was not only a natural disaster but something greater. It was a shaking of hearts, a call from God for people to remember what truly matters before it is too late. And when that day finally comes, those who listen to the vision may not escape the ash, but their souls will not be lost. Because the vision was never about fear, it was always about mercy. Mercy sent through one old priest who carried a burden he did not want, yet dared to share. He told the truth that the world did not want to hear, not to frighten, but to give one last chance to be ready. It was a warning wrapped in love, given so that when the sky grows dark, the faithful will not despair, but will stand knowing that God's hand has not left them, even in the hour of great shaking. I want to take a moment to thank each one of you who has watched, listened, and shared your time here. Your presence means more than you know. Every comment, every like, and every prayerful thought you send helps keep this message alive and reaching more people. This is not just about stories or visions, it is about walking together with open hearts, learning from one another, and finding strength in faith.